Wake up, wake up. It is July the 18th. We are just days away from 49ers first practice. We didn't talk on Monday because I was doing the radio. We're back here on a Friday for a little wake up. Damon Bruce, Larry Krueger. Somebody asked me yesterday on the text line, are you feuding with Damon? How could I ever feud with Damon?
I mean, you can't feud with someone who you haven't talked to all week. This is the first time Larry and I have even spoken to each other all week. I've heard him on the radio. He's been a little bit busy. I've been a little bit busy over here, and it's great to see all of you again. Now, everything's fine over here. No one's feuding. People just are trying to get in all that they need to get in before everything really begins next week in earnest. Larry, training camp is set to open next week officially. The rookies got their Tuesday this past week. Veterans show up on July 22nd, which is next Tuesday. Joint practices with the Broncos, and their preseason game on Saturday, August 9th, is going down, and that leaves between Tuesday and that day 19 days for the San Francisco 49ers to go out and play their first preseason tilt. Football's here, baby. Thank God. Thank
God. We got a lot of football. And not only that, we go from, Damon, what we know is just kind of pretty much the dark time from mid May through mid-July. And now we come out of it with the most consequential, the most pivotal, the most vitally important, training camp that I've been at for the 49ers in this regime. Because, there were years, the first year they were cleansing the roster. There's the championship year, but it kind of caught them by surprise. They made it to the Super Bowl in their third year, won the NFC championship. But they, this year, they're trying to reestablish themselves on the fly, midstream, and they're trying to do it with a completely remade defensive front where you could easily have 3/4 of your four-man front as brand new guys alongside Nick Bosa. So there has never been a more important camp. When they hit the field on Wednesday next week, I will be front and center for every bit of it, because to me, these are the most vitally important practices, I think, of this regime. So look, it's going to be very important.
I'm going to be down there on Wednesday for sure. Won't be at all the practices like you are, you insane individual, you. But
yeah,
there is. You're totally right. This is a huge moment in this timeline for the regime, and not that this is a phrase that has been attached to very much success when the Warriors tried to do it, but there really is kind of a two timeline thing that the 49ers are trying to speak into existence this year. They want to keep all of their established, credible veterans who are championship caliber players and officially now mix them in with a group of new guys and younger players that are going to have to assimilate themselves to the NFL quickly for all of this to work. I was thinking about the show that I'm going to be doing today at 11 o'clock. We're going to come up with some training camp commandments that'll just make the entire, couple of weeks that they're about to go through smoother and easier for everyone. But this is just a huge moment in time for so many guys, so many reputations. This franchise has been so close, yet remains so far from winning it all. And they're actually set up to have a very interesting year, thanks to the circumstances and schedule that they're looking at. So this is going to be an awful lot of fun. Larry, the long national nightmare that was Alfred Collins' holdout came to an end this week. Thank goodness. It was a 4-year, $10.3 million rookie deal with $9 million in guaranteed money. He has been a domino that has since pushed over, and we've seen several second-round picks that we're holding out across the league start to sign. Can I just say, I'm surprised that it got, not that it really got that nasty, but I'm surprised it took as long as it did, because this is not a huge sum of money. $10.3 million over 4 years with $9 million guaranteed. I mean, when you pick a guy in the second round, you're going to give him 2-3 years to figure it out, even if he doesn't make a great first impression, because that's just the business of football. I'm surprised that this number wasn't bigger or more glaring or more sticker shock. I'm surprised that this got a little heated or nasty at all, to be totally honest with you. I got no problem guaranteeing a second round pick that level of money. That's NFL chump change.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was about the amount of dollars. The problem was that D'Amico Ryans and the general manager in Houston, the NFL draft, as you know, I mean, and as people who have been following this know, it used to be the rookies made a ton. I mean, Alex Smith, I think, signed for guaranteed $25 million and all this stuff back in the day. And then they said to somewhere along the line there in the CBA, they just said the veterans sold out the rookies and said, screw this. Why are we giving all these rookies who aren't even proven all this huge money? Let's redo this. Right. And so they came up with the rookie salary slotting.
Yeah, we're getting cut left and right so they can pay these rookies. We've killed our own middle class and older veteran salaries in the name of Sam Bradford being the last huge bonus baby, right?
Right. So they came up with a new system, right? And the new system was to slot everybody. And it pretty much ended rookie holdouts as we knew them, because they were a lot of rookie holdouts once upon a time. And so the system has worked. What happened here is that the Texans kind of jumped the line, if you want, set a new precedent, I guess is probably the best way to say it, is they paid Jaden Higgins 100% of his $11.7 million deal over 4 years, 100% guaranteed. And so that set a precedent that everybody, their second-round pick, wanted to see met. And, like, for example, the Niners signed Collins, and they were one of the first teams to sign. They broke this logjam because they need this player. He agreed to a 4-year, $10.3 million deal, $9.1 million guaranteed. Of his contract, that means he's getting 88% of his rookie deal guaranteed. So that's a huge jump, according to Schefter, over last year's guarantee for last year's pick number 43. So, the Higgins deal set the precedent. The Carson Schlesinger deal by the Browns then reaffirmed it because they gave him a fully guaranteed deal. And everybody else is sitting there going, well, what do we do? And what you do is what the Niners just did, which is you're going to have to give your second-round pick a lot more guaranteed money, and those are true, real market conditions. You can bemoan it or you can adapt, and the Niners adapted. I will also say this, Damon. I think this is the most important guy on the 49ers team on the defensive side of the ball, Alfred Collins, because he was a monster. He was a man-child at Texas. He was really good against the run. He played all the games, but he's been in a walking boot most of the spring. He has yet to hit the field for any practices.
Yeah, we haven't seen
in
him
any
at
OTS.
all.
We saw him that one day standing on the sideline, and he's a huge cut of a man, right? I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest people you've ever seen on a football field. This guy, and he's got a lot of talent. But they gotta have him, Damon, because you know it. I mean, you know the story. It's like they don't have they drafted this year not for depth. They drafted this year for starters. And your guy, CJ West, is absolutely, in my opinion, going to earn one of those two starting spots inside. And the Niners are going to be a much better football team, I think, if that inside duo is Collins and West. We'll see, because we haven't seen him yet. But I suspect that the Niners' season is going to go a lot better if Alfred Collins is great.
For the wide nine to work, Larry, you got to have a couple of corks that stop liquid spilling into the center of your defense. It's just you can't run a wide nine unless you have guys filling up the middle, and between Hargrave, who didn't work out, and Elliott last year, they just brought in players to fit the bill that never really fit the bill. None of those guys had Alfred Collins' body type. No. This is a human refrigerator, a walk-in cooler. He's bigger than just a fridge. So him being not just a good player, but just out there to physically represent what they need in the middle. It is a non-negotiable. He has to be out there this year. So the Niners, again, I think, capitulated instead of going to the mattresses over this. And honestly, even though you don't want to establish bad precedent, this is not a financially irresponsible thing for the 49ers to have done. Neither would be re-upping Jauan Jennings, What I hate about this Jauan Jennings story is that people are trying to frame it as if like Jauan Jennings has said blankety blank or he demands a trade. He has not demanded a trade. He's not in position to demand a trade. But what he is in position to say, hey, man, I make your offense go. I mean more to you than you thought I was going to. You guys mean more to me than I thought you were going to. Let's just give me some guarantees to take care of me next year. God forbid something happened to me on the field today. Haven't we earned that level of trust? And it's a shame that this couldn't have happened discreetly behind closed doors. And then we just hear about the good news. He's been extended for a year with guarantees. Congratulations. But there's no world in which trading Jauan Jennings can help the 49ers be a better team than just taking care of him and playing him this year. I think he is a huge part of this offense, and acclimating and knowing what Shanahan wants done is probably his greatest attribute. I wouldn't want to replace that with someone who's got twice the talent, but none of the knowledge. So I would be really surprised, Larry, if Jauan Jennings isn't handled today, this weekend, or by the time training camp opens. I really hope he's out there on Tuesday.
It's just a matter of what's the ask. What does he want? I mean, everybody understands the value, and everybody understands, why he wants a few more bucks and why Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, is playing seemingly hardball here with the timing. It
was his one leverage play to make. I don't begrudge him his one leverage play to make. Now
is it smart? It may not be smart, actually. I mean, think about it this way. There are only three options, right? He either is fine with his cash, which we know is not the case. He's not fine with the 7.5 because we thought maybe that was the case most of the offseason. Maybe he's okay with his contract. Then it's like, okay, he's not okay with his contract, but he wants a bump. And then there's he wants a big money deal. Now, Spotrac estimated that he would get a 2-year, $38 million extension. That's $19 million a year. No, almost everybody that I've thrown this to says no. And I don't even think anybody really wants to pay him $15 million a year. And then there's the old, hey, he's got a contract, so you're setting a bad precedent. It's like, how many other guys are going to come out of the woodwork demanding extensions if he does? I would imagine McKivitz is next in line. He's the starting right tackle. He's a free agent at the end of the year. But I bring this up, Damon, because like if you're Jauan, what would you rather do? You have no Debo. You have no Ayuk. You know the system. You're set up to get the ball a lot. So if you have a representative year, I don't think it's crazy, Damon, that he could get a 3-year, $45 million deal in free agency from someone at the end of the year. On the other hand, what if he signs with the Niners? What if they said, hey, we'll add 1 year. We'll add 1 year and $10 million to your deal. We're not ripping it up. You're going to play this year at 7.5, but we'll give you a 1-year extension for $10 million. Okay, but is that a better deal for him? Because then he gets the $10 million, but then he's got to wait 2 years before he hits the market. And my guess is maybe he never gets the 3-year, $45 million deal, because now it's about a referendum about what Jauan Jennings does 2 years from now in his age 30 season. Especially with young receivers like Cowing and Garendo and Watkins and these guys improving. I don't know if I was him, if I want to sign you know what I'm saying? It's like, what's better, the short-term deal from the team that you know, or being traded, or a long, or getting no deal, and then basically becoming a free agent at the end of the year. And the Niners have to throw him the ball this year. He absolutely is slated with the way the depth chart looks to get the ball a lot, which should enable him to make the kind of production that would bring him the riches that he seeks in free agency. It likely is not here, but he's probably going to get paid if he has a big year. So what would you do if you're him? Would you gamble on yourself? Would you demand a trade? If you get traded, you may not know that other system. You may not fit that other system. You may not like that other quarterback. You know what I mean? There's a lot of change there.
Well, and look, if I'm Drew Rosenhaus, I would just say that guaranteed money today is worth more than what might happen tomorrow, because this is the single biggest injury sport that we have. And everything that Jauan Jennings might have waiting for him could be taken away from him in one play, and that's that, and we never hear from him again. So I'm a big believer in, betting on yourself and hitting free agency when you can, coming off a great year and the power of a walk year and all that stuff. But in football, it's a little bit different because your next play could be the last play you ever play. And there's no other sport where that is really, the neon light that's blinking over everybody like it is in the NFL. So I think that if you went to Jauan Jennings right now and said, look, the 100 catch, 1,200 yard, 10 touchdown year that you think you're about to have might get you paid huge. But what we want is for you to be back with us next year. Here's a $10.5 million deal with another $2 million in incentives baked right into it. You can get to around 13, and we'll guarantee it all right now. So between the 7 and a hook that you got this year and the 13-ish that we're, talking about for next year, we're talking about 20 million. Jauan, you good? And I bet you he'd be like, yeah, I'm good. I would want
possibly, but Damon, he could be selling himself short there because it's like I would say this. If he gets that money, that has to be his big money. If he's saying I'm going to take that and then I'll cash out in a couple of years, that's a major risk because 2 years from now, like he looked good at the minicamp. Don't get me wrong. In the first round of OTAs, he came out. He looked really good.
I just don't think Jauan Jennings has the pedigree nor the reputation that's going to turn him into one of those like 22, 28, $30 million a year wide receivers. He's really good. Let's not get crazy here. Jauan Jennings is not one of the 20 best wide receivers in all of football this year.
That's a great question.
Plays himself into it. Let's see if he plays himself into it. But is he that now today? No.
What would you say he is? If I said to you where he ranks, because I brought this up yesterday on the radio, and I thought this to me is interesting. Go ahead. Where do you if you had to give a number for where you think Jauan ranks among NFL receivers, what would be your number?
I mean, I know that Pro Football Focus just said he's one of the 10 best receivers in football. Okay, sure.
What? Really?
Something like that, or he had a Pro Football Focus grade that was one of the 10 best, or something like that. I don't know where it was, but I would say he is outside of the top 25. He's in that 30-ish range. And again, if he were on another team, I think he would find himself climbing back down the depth chart, not climbing up the depth chart. He is in a situation where he is going to be asked to do more than I think he'd be asked to do in other situations. He's in a really good spot with the 49ers. So, I think he's around 30, somewhere in that conversation.
Okay, so I look at it this way. Is Jauan Jennings a number one wide receiver? And I would say he's absolutely not.
No.
So I would say that would put him at best 33rd in the league. Then you say, is he the best number 2 wide receiver in all of football? No. And I can think of like Dallas has Philly has Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. He's not as good as those guys. And there's probably a couple other teams that have, Jefferson and Addison. He's not as good as Jefferson or Addison, so he's not even Minnesota's number 2 receiver.
He's not as good as Jalen Waddle. He's not as good as Pickens.
Is he as good as Devontae Adams? No. And Devontae Adams is the second receiver with the Rams to Puka. So my point is this. He's not a number 1, which makes him at least 33. Then there's a handful of teams around the NFL that have number 2 receivers that are probably better than Jauan. So I would say, he's probably around 35 to 40.
Look at it this way. Had they not traded Deebo Samuel, had Brandon Ayuk not been hurt, with Ricky Pearsall having been drafted, is he one of the 49ers' top 3 wide receivers?
No. Top 3 wide receivers, I would say yes.
Deebo hasn't been traded. Ayuk has never been hurt. Pearsall still got drafted. Is Jauan Jennings one of their top 3 guys on the depth chart? Probably not. Now,
barely. If so, it's barely.
I love him. I love Jauan Jennings. He's a dog, man. I love the way he blocks in the running game. I got no problem with him at all. I think he's a great 49er. I think he's worth more to the 49ers than he would be on the open market or to another team.
But do you see the discussion? Now we're having a reasonable discussion about where he actually sits. And I would say, if it was me and I'm being totally fair-minded, I would say fair is about like between 35 and 40.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Jauan Jennings today at $7.5 million with his current contract is the 42nd highest paid receiver in the NFL. So let's not act like it's just like this is the worst injustice of all time. We're talking about the 35th best receiver getting paid like the 42nd best receiver, and he deserves a little bump. That's all we're really talking about.
Just make him right for next year. Make him play this year without the worry of, I tear my knee, my career is over.
The Niners clearly agree with you, Damon, because according to reports, they've gotten calls, trade inquiries from other teams, including maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I talked to Andrew Filipponi about that.
The Pittsburgh Steelers have been linked to every 49er wide receiver but for Jerry Rice. I mean, it's ridiculous.
They have Aaron Rodgers and their number 2 receivers, Calvin Austin. So I do get it. I mean, I understand Pittsburgh, I think, does probably need another receiver. And I think Jennings would be fabulous. He would be incredibly popular in a steel town like Pittsburgh because he is the blue collar, tough guy, hard hat guy. But I once again, I mean, I don't see the reports of these trades that teams were going to trade a 3rd and a 4th round pick and all that. I don't buy it. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that there's a team out there that wants to trade a 3rd round pick for the right to pay Jauan Jennings $15 million a year. I don't buy it. I don't.
I mean, what did Devontae Adams fetch? Jauan Jennings is not going to get a 3rd round pick return. No.
I mean, he's 28. I'll say this too. I just saw him in practice a few weeks ago. He was productive. He made a bunch of catches. But you know what? I look at these guys very closely. What I saw a guy whose, body's starting to change a little bit. He's starting to be a little less sleek. He's starting to grow out of his youth and into a man body, and that's not necessarily a good thing for pro football players. He looks a little thicker around the middle. He looked a little slower. He didn't have a speed to lose. He's a 4.7 receiver. If he loses the average step that a 28 going on 29-year-old receiver typically loses, he may run in the 4.8s. If he runs in the 4.8s, he's slower than offensive tackles. I'm not paying a receiver, especially when I'm stated goal is to get younger, cheaper, and faster. I'm not paying a 28-year-old 4.7 wide receiver $30 million, over 2 years. I'm just not doing it. Now, if he wants 2 years, $20 million, and we can, just give him a slight bump, give him an extension. Maybe it's, hey, you play on 7.5 this year, but we pay you 13.5 next year, and it winds up being kind of like $20 million over 2 years. If he's good for that, then let's do it. If he's not, then unlike the Niners, I would entertain a trade, and I don't need a whole lot in return to make the trade. If I could get some kind of a replacement receiver and any kind of a pick, I'd do it.
By the way, you also better call Keenan Allen that day, right? I mean, I know I keep on pounding this table for Keenan Allen. I bet you if Keenan Allen were already in the room, you would have heard less about Jauan Jennings' trade demands. He'd be
Keenan Allen's better than. I mean, we all love Jauan, and there's people that only watch Niner football. But if you're honest and you're candid and you watch NFL football, you know that Keenan Allen is a better player than Jauan Jennings. So, I bet you could sign Keenan Allen easily to a short-term contract for reasonable dollars. So that kind of that undercuts Jauan's market directly. And you mentioned Keenan, but he's not the only guy. There's Gabe Davis, there's Amari Cooper, there's all kinds of receivers that are out there and available. And I went and did the deep dive on everybody's wide receiver core. Green Bay's got 9 receivers, and they're probably going to cut Bo Melton. Kansas City's got 8 receivers, and they're going to wind up, cutting somebody good. The Jets have a ton of receivers, and you might be able to get Malachi Corley for nothing. So I'm just saying that's another reason I don't want to pay JJ is I really believe at the end of camp there's going to be 10 to 15 receivers with NFL skills that are out there if you want to go get them. So and I love JJ, but I don't want to bend.
A few people in the chat are saying, "Oh boy, you're already dumping all over again." No. I think we're just trying to look at it reasonably. And let me on Jauan Jennings' defense. He means more to the 49ers than he would another team. The Niners are about to get the single best year out of him than he would get in any other situation. The just repetitions that he's going to get due to the circumstances that surround the 49ers wide receiver room is working in his favor. Him understanding Shanahan's offense is working in his favor. Brock Purdy and him absolutely having an on-field kismet is working in his favor. I think it's just one of those, at the end of the day, you can beat the table about how your opportunities are just waiting for you somewhere else, but that's not real. I don't think that that's true. I think he is in the right place. Both of them need each other. And I really think that it's put to bed with a very reasonable deal by Tuesday next week when all veterans are reporting to training camp in Santa Clara. I really hope so, because he's the only missing link. Larry, beyond the Jauan Jennings issue, the Avengers are ready to assemble. I mean, this is the smooth offseason that you didn't get the last few years. This is pretty much, it's set up to be just that. If all hands are on deck on Tuesday next week, you can't ask for more. You really can't. So I hope it's done. I think everybody involved knows that it needs to get done. And I think that smarter, cooler heads prevail, and it is done by Tuesday next week. I really hope it is.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'll say this, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I think the hold-in's kind of chicken shit. I really do. I don't have a lot of respect for the hold-in. The hold-out is like, hey, man, I'm putting my you-know-whats on the table, and I ain't showing up. They're not paying me, and I ain't showing up. Whether you like it or not, there's something ballsy about that. There's something considerably less ballsy to, I have a contract, but I don't want to honor it. I'm going to show up, but I'm not going to play, and I want more money, but unlike the guy who held out, who's risking losing, being fined, I won't even risk the fines.
Well,
I'm not going to risk losing a penny. I'm going to hold in.
Are you going to stand on business for real, or are you going to performatively stand on business? That's what the hold in is. I had Lund on this week. He joined me on Wednesday for a fun show. And Lund did say about Jauan Jennings, who he is pro, sign Jauan Jennings, make the guy right. There's no reason not to. But he also said he wouldn't tolerate any hold in from Jauan Jennings, because Jauan Jennings is the kind of guy who is at the bottom of the how much money do you have list and isn't going to want a $50,000 a day fine from the team. Where Trent Williams has already got, $80 million in the bank. $50,000 a day fine to Trent Williams is a fucking parking ticket. He doesn't care. That's a whole different ball game for Trent to hold in. He
got a Toyota from Brock and is like, yeah, maybe I'll paint it pink and park it somewhere.
Exactly. The Toyota is it's the car that he's going to give to his daughter. He doesn't give a shit about that. I think
he's got FU money. He's got FU money. I mean, that's also why there's desperation here for Jauan, right? Because it's like, yeah, he's got the Niners over a barrel, but also it's kind of like, you know what? I think this is not even really Jauan as much as it is Rosenhaus saying, hey, look, we have to get you taken care of. And there's going to be some uncomfortable moments, and this is one of them. But all I would say,
Juan, I don't think is like a top of the shelf 3-year contract with anybody. To take care of your client best is to get him one more guaranteed year in the situation that's beneficial to him right now. I would hope that Drew Rosenhaus knows the lay of the land enough to do that for his client.
But then also it's a bad precedent. I mean, it's not like there's a winning solution here for the Niners, because it sets a bad precedent if you do redo him. He's got a contract. He just negotiated it last year. You want, it's like, I would say this, if he was my son, I'd say honor your commitments. Honor your commitments. You made a commitment, honor your commitment. You want more, get an extension after your deal's over.
But not being a lame duck player is not out of the ordinary. It's not like this is an extraordinary ask. No one wants to be playing in their final year at the age of 28 for anybody. Right? I get it. I get it. I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at Rosenhaus. I'm not mad at the Niners. I'm not mad at Jauan Jennings. This is standard operating procedure and business. And I don't think that this is a question of new precedent being established because you've already been down this road. We've already done, Trent Williams established this new precedent just last year, did he not? So
But why? Like, if I'm the Niners, what motivation do I have to negotiate with you and your representative on a multi-year deal when basically you're telling me to my face that you're going to be back here next year if you have a good year, telling me to rip up the agreement that you just signed? So it's like, we're going to sign a deal, then we're going to shake hands, and then what? A year from now, when you outperform the deal, you want a new deal, and then if you didn't outperform the deal, what? Are you going to give money back? No. Now the team can pull the plug, but they also have bonus money that will be paid, so there's motivation not to pull the plug. So I guess I get it. It's a two-way street, but you know what I'm saying? If I'm Prague, I'm going. I am not going to negotiate a multi-year deal with a guy who just negotiated a multi-year deal with us and then came in when it was half over saying, screw that, I want a new deal. So, no, I'm not doing that again.
What I would
don't
love
think they should either.
Build in a clause in a deal that was like a negotiation clause. Like, okay, so if you really overperform, you get to come in and ask for, hey, I just really overperformed, bump in your contract. But if you underperform, you owe us money. You don't get the entirety of your renegotiated deal. As a matter of fact,
it's called the sales job with a draw. Have you ever heard of a draw? You get a draw. Here, we're going to pay you X amount, but here you get a $3,000 draw. Oh, guess what? You didn't sell anything. Now you owe us money. It's called a draw.
Okay.
And lots of salespeople who do commission sales will get a draw so that they can live, but they got to sell. They got to sell. And if they don't sell, they owe the company money. So, yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something if that was the way the NFL worked? Oh, he had a down year. Yeah, he had to give money back. It's like a tax bill that comes due.
By the way, I just hope they, again, the smooth offseason that you want, the smooth offseason that you hoped for, the offseason that looked so choppy at the beginning of it while they were just waving goodbye to trusted agents. Everything you wanted out of this offseason can be delivered if Jauan Jennings is in camp on Tuesday, ready to go. So I really hope that it happens. Just for the vibes, baby. Do it for the vibes. Everybody likes Jauan. Get him taken care of. Again, I think if you bonus him out to where he's got $20 million coming to him over the next 2 years, he goes out and he plays football, and he does so happily. From Tuesday next week, when training camp begins, to kick off in Seattle, you will have a 52-day window, 52 days getting ready for the upcoming season. When you think of training camp priorities, Larry, when you think of installs and what Shanahan and Saleh and Gus Bradley and Brant Boyer, what this coaching staff really wants to do, what do you think the theme of this training camp is about to be for the 49ers?
Wow, that's good. Theme. Well, stay healthy. I mean, the one thing about the 49ers is they don't have a lot of depth. Like, they can't lose. If this is an injury-filled year, it's not going to be a good year. They don't have the kind of depth they've had in the past. At certain spots they do. Like, they're deeper on the offensive line this year than they've been. The backup offensive linemen, Andre Dillard, Spencer Burford, Matt Hennessy, Pleasance, Nick Zakel, Connor Colby, Drew Moss. They actually have some pretty good backup offensive linemen. And they do have a second legitimate tight end now who can block, in Luke Farrell. And they do have a very good quarterback room with Purdy, Mac Jones, Tanner Mordecai. But they're thin at wide receiver, and they're thin on the defensive line, and they're thin in the secondary, and there's a lot of unknown in some of those spots. So, the bottom line is they're going to need youth to be served. They don't just need C.J. West and Nick Martin and Alfred Collins and Mikael Williams and Upton Stout to look good. They kind of need those guys to start. And if they don't start, they got to contribute. Like the idea that, oh, you know what? Because if you'd said to me, hey, man, I got 5 rookies on defense that I really like. And let's just say the average team said this. And then for whatever reason, those 5 guys didn't wind up playing very much. That would not be all that rare. It's like it happens all the time in the NFL that you draft a guy and it's like, well, for whatever reason, oh, he pulled a hammy, tore a quad, he did this, he did that. He wasn't quite up to speed. He needed to lose weight.
For whatever reason, coaches don't trust him yet, and he's not out there. And Kyle Shanahan, it's hard to earn his trust. It always has been. He does not like putting rookies in high leverage situations, no matter who the rookie is. He just doesn't like doing it.
So now you got a new defensive coordinator, and he wants to start C.J. West. And he needs to start Alfred Collins, and he needs to start Mikael Williams, and man, he needs Upton Stout and Nick Martin to show up. So, that puts you a little bit in a precarious pressure situation. And I would say, they need health on their defensive front.
In a weird way,
they can't lose Bosa, they can't lose Bryce Huff.
Larry, in a weird way, though, I think that Kyle being painted into a corner where he's forced to trust his rookies, where he has no alternate. There's no one but your young players in the middle of your defensive line to really go and play. So you have to. John Chapman, a friend of ours, great Niner content creator, said that the 49ers have only had 2 rookies start week 1 in the past 3 seasons combined. It was Pooney last year and Spencer Burford back in 22. So this is, 2 offensive linemen got rookie starts. No other positions. And we're talking about 4 or 5 maybe being out there first snap of defense of week 1 in Seattle. Again, Kyle being forced into this, I think is maybe good because he wouldn't do it without being forced into it. So I think.
Well, I got to be honest. I think this is the most BS overblown story. I don't think that Kyle is anti-rookie. I think John Lynch hasn't drafted good enough players to as rookies. I mean, it's like the Niners have kind of screwed up a lot of their day 1 and day 2 picks, and then oh, by the way, hardly anybody's started. I mean, it's interesting to me. What was noteworthy about your stat there from Chapman is that that's a 3rd and a 4th round pick. So that means nobody who was drafted in the 1st or 2nd round has found their way to the starting lineup, and that's true. So it's I don't think it's that Shanahan is like, oh, I think Kerr doesn't like to play young players. I think that's a fact. I think Shanahan would easily play young players if he had good young players.
Well,
he played Debo, played Bosa. So I think it's really just that they're not hitting. I really believe that because I think this year for example, if they don't have JJ for whatever reason, if they trade him or if he's holding out or whatever, and they get to week 1, I think they're going to use Jordan Watkins, even though he's a rookie.
Well, they have to. That's, again, as circumstances mean you don't have too many cards in your deck that aren't rookie cards. So eventually you're going to have to play it. And I think that that's going to be good for the 49ers. Again, it's something that if he's been reluctant to do it, him having to do it this year is going to eliminate that reluctance to do it. I saw that 6 49ers made PFF's top 100 players list. The one that isn't on this list, though, is absolutely absurd, and I think renders the entire list bullshit.
Really? I didn't even see the list. Who's on the list?
At number 88, Brock Purdy. At number 69, Nick Bosa. At number 61, Diamador Lenore. At number 59, Trent Williams. At number 40.
Whoa, that seems really low for Trent Williams.
It does, but he's aging himself off the list, and he missed more games last year than ever before, so I'm not going to argue. George Kittle is at number 40. Fred Warner is at number 38. Christian McCaffrey's not on this list. Who on planet football is prepared to look me in my eyes and tell me that a healthy Christian McCaffrey isn't one of the 100 best players in this league? I dare you. Who would ever make that argument? How could you make that argument stick? It would be insane. Now, if you want to say, well, an injured Christian McCaffrey, okay, yeah, an injured anybody gets him off this list. But if Christian McCaffrey, if the whole point is you're healthy, are you on the list or not? How is Christian McCaffrey not on this list? The guy is one of the best football players I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, I don't know. You know the list more than I do. I don't know anything about the list, but I would imagine if he's not on the list, it's all directly related to what you did last year. and he didn't do anything last year. I mean,
yeah, but he was hurt. It wasn't because he's bad or he's not good or he lost his talent or he lost his ability. He was unable to play.
Yeah, but he's also. But let's talk about why. Okay, he's a running back who has double Achilles tendonitis, has decent mileage on him, has had injuries in the past, and then finished the year with a PCL injury.
Right, but
so
again,
it's not like and the tendonitis, there was no surgery. So like if it's gone, what made it go away? You know what I mean? It's like it may come back. I mean, it wasn't like it was surgically replaced or repaired. It's just quieted down because he's not playing football. I heard Chapman on KMBR with Carlos Ramirez yesterday, actually debating. I guess this was the same list, and I that's all you can say, right? I mean, it's not about Christian's career.
No, but it's about projecting who will be the top 100 players in football this year.
There's probably other players that were left off too. The other injured players were probably left off as well.
Well, I'd have to see, but to me, Christian McCaffrey, a healthy Christian McCaffrey, not being listed in the top 100 players in this league is absurd. Because a healthy Christian McCaffrey is one of the 10 best players in this league.
But that's to me, this Christian McCaffrey is a major talking point around the 49ers this year, because I don't think that we're all in agreement. And when I say all, I think Shanahan's on this list. I don't think we're all in agreement on how this should go. Personally, I think that McCaffrey should ease off the pedal on McCaffrey.
Yes, they should
use Guerendo and then use McCaffrey, since you have Jordan James and Corey Kiner and Guerendo and other backs, and you have hardly any receivers and everybody's hurt. Use McCaffrey as a receiver. He's going to take less abuse as a receiver than he would as a player, as a running back. I mean, I don't want to see him as a running back as much as I'd like to see him as a receiver. They targeted him last year only 19 times. I want to see that number doubled this year. I want to see them target him close to 40 or 50 times. And I want to see Guerendo play a lot. And to me, Damon, the number one reason that Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch don't have a Super Bowl ring with the Niners, in my opinion, it's because they've never gotten to Super Bowl Sunday with a fully rested, ready, and healthy Christian. Well, and that should be the goal this year.
They did just this in 2023, but unfortunately, McCaffrey fumbled on that opening drive. If you really want to say
he wasn't healthy.
Where was this Super Bowl lost? It was lost right there, if we're being totally honest.
He wasn't healthy. He was used a ton that year. He had 400 touches.
Yeah.
Let's limit his touches. Let's use Guerendo. Let's use McCaffrey as a receiver. Let's take some of the hits off of him. How about this? The Niners have been like, Bobby T told me 3 weeks ago, I let Christian be Christian. Well, Bobby T, you're in charge.
Right.
He's not in charge. You're in charge. So instead of letting Christian be Christian, how about let's dictate to Christian this year and have a healthy Christian at the end? Because you have no rings, so maybe it's time to change up the plan.
How about this? When you leave it to Christian McCaffrey's own devices, he gets hurt. So you can't leave it to his own devices.
I asked Mason Pline about McCaffrey. I said, what stands out? He says he's the greatest. He's one of the most competitive guys. He says if you're playing anything in the locker room, you're playing a board game. He's like, he just is so competitive. So we know that about him. His teammates know that about him.
Love it.
Defend him from himself, protect him from himself. All I'm saying is manage his touches, and let's use Guerendo. Guerendo needs to be on the field more. McCaffrey needs to be on the field less.
We all know that there, you got a third down back. I think McCaffrey should be their third down back. I think he should be their red zone back. Like, I don't need to see McCaffrey while the offense has got the balls in between the 30s. You can any running back will help you move the ball in the middle of the field. Where they need McCaffrey to really put his fingerprints on this season is with red zone appearances that turn into touchdowns in the end zone. That's where Christian McCaffrey's absence was felt the most, in the red zone. And that is the one place where the 49ers need to improve drastically this year. They failed in the red zone offensively and defensively all fucking year last year. And then they had injuries stacked on top of injuries, and that's where the whole thing disintegrated. McCaffrey, his over-unders this year. You want to hear what Vegas says, Larry?
Sure.
Vegas thinks McCaffrey's a 1,000-yard rusher. His over-under is 999.5 yards. You going over or under on his rushing yards?
I'll go over because I think they're going to use him a lot. But, all I would say is, look, as far as where on the field you use them, red zone, not in the red zone, middle of the field, I'm okay with flexibility there. Where I think they have to get him off the field is they have an easy schedule. They're going to win some games, okay? They're going to win some games. That means they're going to wind up in some of these games against some of these dog meat opponents with like a 11, 12-point lead in the fourth quarter.
Off the field.
Don't want to see them finish games with Christian. Finish the game with somebody else. Why? Because when you finish the game, the other team knows, we all know situational football. We think that everything's a mystery, but it's not. If the Niners have a 12-point lead and they get the ball back with 7 minutes left, they are going to hand it off. And the defense knows that. And so what does that mean? That means that the running back who takes that carry is probably going to get smoked because the defense kind of knows, the Niners are trying to run out the clock, and so everybody's playing run. So take McCaffrey off the field and run Jordan James, run Corey Kiner, run Izzy Abanaconda, run Juszczyk, run anybody but Christian McCaffrey when you're trying to finish games. You finish games with Elijah Mitchell, find your new Elijah Mitchell, but don't finish games with McCaffrey. Those are the carries that you need to take off his back.
7.5 rushing touchdowns, over or under? It better be over. It better be over.
He had none last year.
None.
I'll say under.
You don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to score 8 touchdowns this year on the ground? How are the Niners going to go to the playoffs if that's happening?
Well, I'm just saying. I think it has to be spread out.
Okay,
I think it has to be spread around. I mean,
60.5.
Every football. Everybody thinks football lasts forever. Football is dynamic. Football is not baseball. It's not basketball. It's not the same thing year after year. It's something different year after year. Have you noticed that? Youth is always served. Nobody's, this whole like Madden jinx, it's not a jinx. It's just that you don't get on the cover of Madden until you're established. And once you're established, you're probably not that far away from being hurt. So a lot of those guys have gotten hurt. And it's the same thing with with running.
It's hard to be great 2 years in a row in this league. By the way, after we go through these McCaffrey overs and unders, I'm going to give you Saquon's overs and unders. It's the theme of this betting season should be fading Jauan Barkley. He's not going to be able to produce these numbers 2 years in a row. But again, McCaffrey's at 60.5 receptions, 500.5 receiving yards. I would go over both of those. I think McCaffrey has to be this team's third or fourth leading receiver this year.
What's the reception number?
60.5.
60.5. Okay, so he played 4 games last year. He had 15 receptions. So that pens out about right. I like over on that.
500.5 receiving yards. Again, I think he has to be involved in the passing game.
I like over
as much as, if not more than in the running game at times. So you got By the way, Saquon Barkley's numbers are 1,450.5 rushing yards. That's a lot. 2 years in a row for that guy. That's a lot. 10.5 touchdowns, 40.5 receptions, 300.5 receiving yards. I would say receptions and receiving yards might go up, but that rushing yardage total, I would bet the under on that for Barkley. It's going to be really hard to have 2 years in a row like that.
What is it again? He was a 2,000-yard rusher last year.
Yeah, 1,450.5.
Yeah, wow. He does have a great offensive line. They got rid of Gainwell. I mean,
Right.
who's? I mean, let me see their
The
depth
theme
chart.
of the Eagles has to be asking him to do less as much as the theme of the 49ers has to be asking Christian McCaffrey to do less. You can't expect that guy to put on Superman's cape 2 years in a row.
They did sign A.J. Dillon, so
That's
I would say the touchdown. He's going to vulture some touchdowns, so I probably would go under.
A huge touchdown vulture too.
Yeah, but I mean, Dillon is your power back that you just signed from. I'll say this though, like they had other backs in the past. They don't really have like who is Philly's number 2 running back. A.J. Dillon is not an every down back. They have Will Shipley. They have Shunderick Powell from Central Arkansas. He's a great return guy. Maybe Montrell Johnson from Florida. I mean, there's not a definitive number 2 back there. So Barkley, I'll say this: if Barkley goes down, Philly could be in a lurch because they don't have Kenneth Gainwell anymore. He went to Pittsburgh.
Well, look, when you craft an entire offense around one player and then you lose that one player, your offense is going to be behind the 8 ball instantly. And that brings us right back to last year's 49ers. The entire offense is crafted around Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey goes to Germany and is basically not heard from the entire year. And that's, part of the reason why last year was so mind-numbingly frustrating. Couple of other things here, Larry. Just news around the league before we get to our supers today. It's something that you and I talked about weeks ago, a month ago. And, we don't like to keep banging the same drum. But I really thought that the Terry McLaurin situation in D.C. was going to be the toothpaste that eventually the Commanders got back into the tube, because you're not going to let a guy like Terry McLaurin walk or get traded or whatever. That Terry McLaurin situation is not working itself out, Larry.
No.
Not at all. So, maybe here we are again, maybe. I'm just saying the Terry McLaurin situation is still fluid. I can't believe the Commanders have not righted this ship on their own. They haven't. He was publicly saying last week he ain't happy and things aren't getting better. If you're the 49ers, do you do something bold? Would you try to swoop in for McLaurin?
If you print out the list of the highest paid receivers in football, I think the one thing they have in common is they don't win. You don't win with those guys. So I think other teams are starting to notice that. And the Packers are like, no, we don't want Devontae. And the Vikings were like, we don't want Diggs.
Look at the decision the Chiefs made when it was time to pay Tyreek Hill.
Chiefs. Yeah, I was thinking you were talking about Seahawks. Seahawks said goodbye to DK. The Titans said goodbye to A.J. Brown. I mean, it's like there are as many receivers who teams are saying we don't want to pay as there are receivers, teams saying that, we'll pay our receivers. So, and I don't know that it makes sense to pay the receivers. The history says it doesn't. So, I mean, Jefferson, no rings. Tyreek Hill, no rings,
The problem with football is that it has eliminated its own middle class. Everyone is either making you're a Rolls Royce level money at wide receiver, or they're on their rookie deals. And everyone in the middle is now, Jauan Jennings and unhappy with $10.5 million, and it's just, these guys deserve an awful lot of upfront money for the risky jobs that they have. And the league prints its own money and should be able to pay everyone everything. I mean, there's no amount of money you can actually pay a football team to where an owner is going to have to start selling off rooms of his house on Airbnb to make ends meet. I mean, the money is just everywhere, and it should be handed out to these players who put it all on the line for our entertainment. But there has to be either a cap that grows exponentially at all times, because there's no such thing as salaries going down. Like, it just doesn't exist. The concept of, well, hey, you're not even as good as the last guy who signed this contract, therefore you're not going to get what he got. That doesn't even exist anymore. It's, where are you in your career when your career goes to marketplace? That has as much to do with what you're about to get paid as what you're actually producing on the field at times. And I just think that I mean, look at what the Steelers just did. The Steelers just gave TJ Watt a 3-year, $123 million extension. Now, TJ Watt is as good of a football player as there is in football. But are you telling me that his 2 sacks maybe this Sunday are worth that? He's the highest non-paid quarterback for the second time in his career. Like, I love a good defensive end, but they don't change games the way quarterbacks do. I mean, I think that there is a level of money being handed out at all positions. Again, every position in football can now come with a $25 to $30 million a year price tag. And that's unsustainable with the way the current CBA is negotiated and the cap is set up. They're going to need to grow the cap to, $500 million.
Here are the highest paid receivers in the game. Here they are. Jamar Chase, no rings. Justin Jefferson, no rings. CeeDee Lamb, no rings. DK Metcalf, no rings. A.J. Brown's got a ring. Amon-Ra St. Brown, no rings. Tyreek Hill's got a ring. Brandon Ayuk, no rings. T. Higgins, no rings. Jalen Waddle, no rings. DJ Moore, no rings. Devontae Smith has a ring. Nico Collins, no rings. Deebo Samuel, no rings. Michael Pittman, no rings. Terry McLaurin, no rings. Calvin Ridley, no rings. Davante Adams, no rings. Chris Godwin, did he win a ring? Did Godwin win a ring with Tampa? Was he there when they won that ring? Maybe.
I think he was. I think he was on Brady's team. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got a ring. So Diggs has no rings. It's almost all the top receivers don't have a Super Bowl ring. So I don't know. It's like one of those things. And there's a lot of good receivers at the cut down, but I do understand why these guys do get paid. They are special. It's hard to be good on the perimeter in the NFL, but
watch this, Larry. You just played your no ring contest.
Yeah. What do you got?
Highest paid quarterbacks. Dak Prescott, no ring.
No rings.
Joe Burrow, no ring. Josh Allen, no ring. Jordan Love, no ring. Trevor Lawrence, no ring. Tua, no ring. Goff, no ring. Purdy, no ring. Herbert, no ring. Lamar Jackson, no ring. Then you get to Jalen Hurts. He's got a ring. Then you got ringless Murray, Watson, Cousins, and then Patrick Mahomes. So you can play the top paid no ring game at a lot of different positions, I think. If we did that with defensive ends now, right? TJ Watt, no ring.
Yeah.
Nick Bosa, no ring. Miles Garrett.
What does that tell you? What does it tell you?
It means
tells me that football's a team game.
Have a robust middle class.
Tells me that you better have a lot of depth and you better have a lot of talent. And the teams that win have that. Not necessarily one guy. I mean, look at Dallas Cowboys were great in the early 90s. Then they started paying all their guys. They won one more ring in 95 with Switzer. They didn't win again. And why? It's probably because Aikman and Emmett and Irvin and Novacek and all those guys were making all this cash, a grip of cash, and they had to cut a bunch of guys. And Ken Norton became a Niner, and all of a sudden there was this mass departures in free agency. So it's a team game, man. It is a team game. It is interesting, though. You're talking about 3 of the most important positions on the field. The receiver, the quarterback, and the pass rushers, and yet almost all of the top paid guys at those 3 vitally important positions have not won Super Bowl rings.
Is there a single position that correlates with highest paid gets you ring? Like, what if it was left tackle or center? What I wonder if there is a position where if you do pay this guy X amount of dollars, you are going to be winning rings. That's a little research that I need all my producers to fucking come up for me today.
Well, it's a good one. I would say maybe coordinators, maybe head coaches. If you're paying your guy, if you're paying the top coordinators, I mean, there's no cap on that. It seems like the best coaches seemingly win, but it's hard to say. I've always believed that that you have to have a great linebacking core to win in the NFL. Why? Because you have to have those second level defenders. That's where this game has changed so much. That's where you need guys who have instincts and make tackles. I mean, you need great quarterbacks, right? Tampa with Devin White and Levante David and the great linebacking core Man, they were fantastic against Mahomes in the Super Bowl they won.
It's an old saying that a guy who used to hang around my varsity football team used to say all the time. Blocking and tackling. Everything else just sells tickets. That's it. And, if you really needed, what do you need? Blocking. I would rather have a team with a great offensive line and a great linebacking core than I think I'd rather have great wide receivers and, pick another position that you're great at. You got to be good on the line of scrimmage, and you got to be good at tackling guys right where you meet them. And
it's a great point.
Yeah, linebackers are the ultimate chess piece.
It's a great point. I mean, think about last year's Niners. What did they not do with Devondre Campbell? They didn't tackle anybody. Their tackling was horrible. Their yards after contact were incredible against them, and they were not a good tackling team. They missed Greenlaw badly. They signed a linebacker to replace him. He was the wrong linebacker. They didn't even play their best guys. They played Devondre Campbell all year. He sucked. So they were bad at tackling, and then they had injuries in the secondary. They didn't have any pass rush up front, and then, as you said, they were bad at blocking. Their offensive line didn't block worth a damn. They weren't good at the point blocking. They weren't good tackling, and they weren't good. So yeah, I think that's spot on. Should we hit some supers and get out of here? Let's hit the supers. Fucci Simeon.
Spot on is the name of the game. And by the way, we forgot to say this at the beginning of the show, Larry. People are going to be thinking about lunchtime today. Get yourself to Ike's. Have a delicious sandwich at Ike's. Hopefully there's an Ike's near you. I know that they just opened another down in San Diego, or we'll be doing that soon. So as the empire grows, get your belly to grow around a sandwich from Ike's. Check out Ike's Catering for your next event, your next party. And again, thanks so much to our good friends at the Dubliner West Portal, who are serving up great Guinness in a great setting. Get yourself there for tonight's Giants Blue Jays game. The second half of baseball's beginning. Head to the Dubliner for a pint and an inning or two of Giants baseball. And thanks so much to our sponsors. Like and subscribe. Now here's Larry to tell you about a pig and a pickle.
Well, the other thing on the Giants, remember that's a Toronto game. That's in Toronto, so that game's getting going at 4:00. So if you're going to go over there, get over there by 4.
Happy.
Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. We're closing in on 60,000 subs. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week, so they're really good. Damon and Mary, the owners of Pig and a Pickle, just great people and run a great business. They got a fantastic restaurant, and I get people sending me pictures of them and their barbecue and going to Pig and a Pickle every day. So thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. Appreciate them greatly. Thanks to Sharp Corners Sports Cards and Collectibles, my good friend Anthony Catania, who's going to training camp. He's at 205 Cypress Avenue. He's in Pacific Grove, California, right there along the Monterey Peninsula. Give him a call. If you're a sports card or collectible fan, he's at 831-521-5264, and he's a great follow on IG at Sharp Corners 831 on the gram. And then thanks to Claw Daddy Arcades. They're a great follow on Instagram at Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. They got a brand new location opening at Capitola Mall and Visalia Mall later on this summer. And by the way, we should tell you, if you're watching us live on YouTube, do us all a favor, smash the like and subscribe buttons. Make sure you hit that notification bell, so you never miss a show. And remember, once the live stream wraps up, you can catch the full replay of the Krueger Show, at least anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever your favorite platform is. Just search The Krueger Show and you'll find us. And thanks to all of our sponsors. There are links in the description for all of our sponsors. We don't say it a lot. Some people say it all the time, but we don't say it a lot. But if you could hit like and subscribe, that really does help us. If you hit like, just more people will find the algorithms. If you hit subscribe and hit that notification bell, when we go live, anytime we go live, you'll get that, ta-da-ding, that little alert, and then you can join us so you don't have to miss a minute.
And let me just say, Larry,
either of our channels.
The two of us have an awful lot of crossover subscribers, I'm sure, who are already subscribing to each of our channels. But all I'm saying is that if all of my subscribers who are not subscribed to Larry went over and subscribed to Larry today, I guarantee you Larry would get over 60,000 subscribers. If all of Larry's subscribers who aren't subscribed to me would come over and do that for me, we'd be flirting with 50 maybe by the end of the day. We have a lot of crossover audience, but it's not 100%. Let's make it 100%. Let's help each other out. Thank you so very, very much for watching, for liking, for being a part of this. Wake Up is going to be coming to you on Monday and Friday with occasional Wednesday shows thrown in when necessary. Larry, are we going to keep Wednesday a floater day for in case of emergencies?
We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that goes. We'll try to, be flexible this year and be on when people want us to be on. But just make sure if the Niners play today, we'll be on in the morning. So just know that. Just kind of keep that in your mindset.
We will be.
We'll be on after every. We'll be on the next morning after every Niner game. We'll do a lot. We'll do as many Mondays and Fridays as we can, and we'll probably squeeze in some other times as well.
Some Tuesdays
there may be
well,
some.
Right?
Yeah, there may be some fluctuations with scheduling and that kind of thing from time to time. But if we miss a show, it's just temporary. It's not. We're not canceling the show. We're doing Wake Up. And it's been very, very successful. So thanks to all of you guys for making it that success. Fuji Simeon in the house is Larry. Will there be a bottom of the pint tonight with the great John Lund? I'm not sure. Johnny's been, vacationing and doing some other things, and I know he's been busy on a couple Friday nights. We've missed connection. I will connect with him later today and figure it out. If I do not stream with Johnny tonight, I may be streaming with Cyrus later tonight. So we'll see if Cyrus wants to reached out, wants to do a Warrior stream. He feels like he's got Kuminga stuff to shout about tonight. So we may do that. If John wants to do the bottom of the pint, I may audible to the bottom of the pint and do a little Giants action. I will be doing KMBR filling in today from 2 to 3:30 leading into that game. Just kind of filling in so those guys can get a day off. So there you go. But TBD on bottom of the pint. All right, here we go on this one. We have this one from Joseph Ernberg. With or without Jauan, this wide receiver room is ass. Why pay?
Well, Joseph, if you think it's ass with him, what is it without him? It's
unproven.
Already unimpressed with becomes less impressive without one of their better players. So. You want Jauan Jennings is not ass, and I don't think that the wide receiver room is ass. It's not.
I don't either. But I will say this: that it's, Debo had a big name, but last year he only had really one good game. So sometimes big name guys, their game starts to leave them, and guess what? As young guys, I'll say this: I think Cowing and Watkins are going to have better years. And they'll be better going forward than Deebo Samuel. I really believe that.
Cowing's got an awful lot of heavy lifting to do right there. I mean, Cowing is.
I like him.
4 catches last year. I mean, come on.
Yeah. No. So what? I mean, he wasn't strong enough last year. There's a lot of rookie receivers who don't look good and then come on as a sophomore. So I expect him to be much better. Jacob Sis Naraz set 9750. Hey Larry, I know you were curious why trade projections from Bleacher Report included day 2 picks and players. Is that because teams trading for JJ have to present a package that beats the comp pick formula? Well, yeah, if the Niners want to keep JJ and say, hey, you're not going anywhere and we're not going to pay you and let you, if you want to hold out. Whatever. Eventually, if he comes and plays this year, he's a free agent at the end of the year. And if he signs somewhere else, they're likely to get a 3rd or 4th round pick. So yeah, somebody's going to offer the Niners. They got to offer them more than what they would get by just keeping the player. Otherwise, why would they trade him? So I understand that. I just didn't understand why people would throw a player that can play and a 3rd round pick. I don't think JJ's worth that. These Bleacher Report trades, who knows? I mean, are they sourced? Are they not? How fair are they? I've seen some really bad ones.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that is actually like researched or, Shams has got an inside track. There's not a lot of that.
It's not based on talking to general managers. It's just guys looking at rosters and just guessing. Fuji Simeon says, both of your thoughts on the TJ Watt extension. I mean, he's the highest paid non-quarterback in the game. I will say this. I think it's a lot of money, probably too much money for a guy who may have already played his best football. I think he's 30, but he has perfected the most valuable defensive play in today's game, which is the strip sack. He had 6 forced fumbles last year. That's changing possessions 6 times in an NFL season is worth a lot of money. So if he can maintain that pace, yeah, he's probably worth the money.
Betting on those Watts kids to carve out lucrative NFL careers was a pretty good bet to have made. Both JJ and TJ have done a hell of a job.
Yeah. And they both, TJ for sure was underdrafted. Fuji Simeon says, honor your commitments unless you went to SI.
Oh, boy.
Come on, easy there. Tommy Huxley, cut stand in the place where you are, where you work, fake. Whoa.
I don't know what that is. Cut stand
in the place where you work, fake Brenda. Brendel?
I don't know. I thought there was going to be like stand in the place where you live. I think these
REM
were lyrics for a minute there.
I went to an REM concert back in the day. Spand. Okay. It's a good song. Good little riff.
Did you ever hear the joke about it? I guess it wasn't a joke. Dennis Leary. Remember the comedian Dennis Leary?
Yeah. Hostile.
Did something at very hostile, Boston, lots of anger.
He's in draft days, the head coach in draft day.
He did something at like the MTV Music Awards where he ripped REM for Shiny Happy People. He's like, I don't like fucking Shiny Happy People. Screw Shiny Happy People. I can't stand Shiny Happy People. Fuck Shiny Happy People. And it was a very funny Dennis Leary rant. A year later, he's sitting in a restaurant and he sees Michael Stipe of REM kind of giving him an evil eye from across the room. They don't say anything. At the end of the meal, Michael Stipe walks over, puts a napkin on Dennis Leary's table and walks away. Leary turns over the napkin and it said, I hate Shiny Happy People too. That's pretty good. I like it when I like it when bands and musicians can laugh at themselves. I like that.
Did you enjoy Shane Gillis last night?
So I watched a little bit of his monologue highlights. Yeah, dude, he's hysterical. He's absolutely him calling out 4-time WNBA All-Star Brittany whatever, and it was his buddy's wife, and he's like, "Yeah, I just proved to you, you don't know the fucking WNBA." That was great.
That was awesome.
I'm a big Gillis fan.
Did you see Sarah Spain lose her S trying to go at him afterwards?
All I can tell you is that I haven't heard a word from Sarah Spain since she's left ESPN, and this has been my favorite era of Sarah Spain's rise to fame I've ever enjoyed. Less of Sarah is better.
How about his Caitlin Clark? Did you hear his Caitlin Clark? She Midwestern nailed a bunch of threes. Did you hear his line where he said, "Me and Caitlin Clark are the same. We're both Midwestern people who've nailed a bunch of threes."
That's pretty funny. The other thing that he said was, Caitlin Clark's going to go get a job at the Waffle House when she's done so she can continue her second favorite career, fist fighting black women. Good awesome. God. I mean, here's the thing. I like unafraid. I don't care that I'm stepping on your toes comedy. And if a comedian offends you, you were raised poorly. That's all I have to say about it. I'm all about Shane Gillis and Ricky Gervais taking a bunch of sanctimonious people and putting them in their place during an award show. I love it.
Ricky Gervais is my hero. Fuji Simeon, Fred Warner only ranked number 38. That's too low. Probably right. Fuji Simeon, John says he is a go for the Giants tonight. All right. Hey. Well, there you go. There you go. Then I'm a go as well. I got to go bottom of the pint. All right, that's going to do it for us. I'm back in action 30 minutes or 15 minutes from now at 10:45 with the great Chase Sr., who's going to be in the house. And then I will be with you on the radio from 2 until 3:10, something like that. This afternoon, a little fill-in, taking you towards Giants and Jays. And then I'll do bottom of the pint, and we got a lot to get to. Maybe I'll even do something with Cy later. So
Larry's a big believer. Look at him. He's going to be doing a little Giants pregame. He's going to tell you about tap plastics and all of the sponsors that are still attached to the Giants pregame show. Today in Giants history, nice little pre-recorded monologue.
This day in Giants history.
Do we even record new ones, or do we just use what Brian Murphy recorded last year? I think maybe we could just resuscitate a few of those.
Yes, Damon knows. So
Can't use
that.
Tony Ryan imaging, though. Tony doesn't work here anymore. We're going to need new imaging.
Everybody have a great day. Damon, what do you got cooking?
So I got I'm going to go ahead and we're going to talk about some training camp commandments that the 49ers better shall thou follow as they get ready for training camp. And because it was the slowest sports week of the year, we're not going to waste much of your time. At 11 o'clock, we're going to have a nice little show for you, and we're going to send you on your way prepared to enjoy your Friday, no matter where that is. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe to both of these channels before you leave us today. And hopefully you'll be back on Monday. It'll be a huge week on both of our channels next week. As training camp begins, so does the 2025 49ers season. Next week, it is on. Thank goodness.
It's on. It's on. And we'll be there. Have a great weekend, everybody. Peace.